The line of control is the border with Pakistan. It was partially agreed to up to a particular point short of the Siachen Glacier. NJ, I'm forgetting the exact terminology, in the Shimla Agreement. So it is a marked line. The line of actual control on the Chinese front is of a line of perception. Perception in the sense that both of us have got a different view on where the border should be. So it is that area which is in between the perception zone where there are normally incidents. There are multiple possible reasons. No one is very sure exactly why, because China has not listed it out. More of it is flowing through their mouthpiece, the Global Times. Whether the intention is to add confusion, whether the intention is to make some gains, that always remains a question, because none of these issues, or including the standoff, is covered anywhere in the local Chinese press or media. Now, the Global Times talks about a variety of issues, whether it be the proximity of India and US, whether it be proximity of India, Australia, whether it be India seeking to take in Chinese companies leaving China, whether it is a threat to the Karakoram highway, which is going very close to the road which India is constructing. So for that reason, it needs to now ensure that that road doesn't go through, or it needs areas where it can dominate the road. Or it is to apply pressure on India like it is applying in the other regions and convey a message to the world that anyone who challenges or questions us will undergo pressure. So there's a lot of these different aspects coming in at different levels. What exactly is the intention is still unclear. There are multiple ways to look at it. One of the, if you look at what is flowed after that incident and the events that have occurred and the way the incident has been described, one is not very certain. But firstly, we need to know that there are certain protocols between India and China established from 1993 onwards, where to maintain peace and tranquility and prevent an escalation beyond a level which will be difficult to pull back, there are instructions that there will be no firing along the LAC. And if you read the protocols, it lays down 2 kilometers short this, that. Even during Doklam, if you see the photographs or the videos from there, you will see that the weapons are on the back of the soldier, which is the normal norm. They're not carried in the hand as it is done along the LC with the LOC with Pakistan or other places. Now, the different perceptions that flowed, I could take one of the perceptions and cover it up, which appears to be somewhat realistic, was since the two forces had been interacting, the two CEOs between the Chinese side and the Indian side had been interacting, so they knew one another. So when the party went, they were expecting to run into the same people with whom they had interacted, and they had spent time talking and even possibly sat down together. But when it was an absolutely new group, and when you're so close, it takes time before you realize that what has happened and you would react. So you did not go prepared to expect something like this to happen. But of course, then you continued with it, and subsequently when it built up, both sides came down. China, in spite of being, the Chinese soldiers, in spite of being surrounded and possibly hit even worse, also did not take out their weapons. So neither of the two sides, because the casualty figures on the Chinese side, there is some sort of an estimate varying between 35 to 43 or maybe even more. So despite that, they too did not take out. So this was normally a norm which has been followed. And to some extent, they came prepared for the conflict. The team that went was not possibly expecting it. Subsequently, when the rest of the soldiers moved in to assist, there are reports of them having used bayonets and other things equally ferociously. So that then took off. So, these are the issues that would remain, because there are always a doubt on what can you use and what you should not use. China historically has never given you true figures. If you want to look at the recent cases, Wuhan, the figures that they've given, nobody in the world believes. What they're talking of Beijing, nobody in the world believes. The 62 war figures came out years and years later. One doesn't know how true it is. Now, for a country which is ruled by a communist party, men are only there to serve the communist party and push its agenda forward. Secondly, China has also got a fear that once it announces the true figures, it'll break the invincibility of the Chinese PLA, which is the only means by which it is subduing its neighbors, whether they be Vietnam, Malaysia, and the other countries with whom it has dispute in the South China Sea region. It suffered immense casualties and had to pull out of Vietnam. It is still not announced what it lost there. So its major intention is to safeguard the reputation and standing of the PLA. The individuals in China mean nothing for the government. If you keep reading about Chinese news, you would find how many people have disappeared, vanished, and there are no questions asked. They're given jail terms on fake issues. The dead are not even accounted for as far as even Wuhan was concerned. So China has a reputation of hiding reality and trying to save its name and the name of the Communist Party without any incidents or without revealing reality. What he spoke was factually correct. What he spoke was also diplomatically correct. After all, you are trying to diffuse a situation rather than escalate a situation. When he mentioned that there was nothing because the patrol point 19 is a disputed point from where both sides come. Both the patrols are normally there. Whether if they come at different times, then there is no clash. If they come at the same time, there is a clash. So for us, we consider that a point on the LAC. With the incident of 16 Bihar, that LAC, that disputed point was removed. So that is what he said. But definitely the wordings of his were more to ensure that you do not create a scenario where you cannot pull back diplomatically. Exploiting it is always easy. You can always twist words. But one has to look at it in the larger context that if India is seeking to resolve a situation, India is not seeking to escalate a situation. Escalation is easy. Resolving is difficult. The policy which we always try and follow with China is war avoidance. You're not trying to create a war scenario because there is no certainty once you escalate, whether you escalate by political statements or you escalate by incidents, as to where would the level of escalation stop. So it is always better for war avoidance wherein you can resolve issues by discussion, and when everything else fails, then you look at the last resort. And that is exactly what he was trying to say. But yes, in India, everything is politically connected and everyone has a right to twist or tail whatever it is. So nothing in his statement was factually wrong. Nothing in his statement was deliberately wrong. And he kept his statement to the right level. See, there is, what do you term a valley? A valley is which starts from the origination, from where the river originates. Where does the river originate? Aksai chain. And when you're looking at the valley, for us, the point at contention is PP14, which is what we do not want anything happening there. That is where we consider the LAC. And that area is clear. The rest of it is not our concern. And when the Chinese said that the Galwan Valley is ours, because when the PM made a statement, he says with the actions of 16 Bihar, nothing now, there are no Chinese in our area in the region. There are no Chinese there. The valley comment by China was countered by the External Affairs Minister when he said that your comments are wrong. Because for us, that region is what counts. Right. So there is no dispute on that. However, you can twist the words to suit whichever direction you want and whichever way you want. The intention, like I told you, has been to clarify that what the boys of Bihar did Colonel Babu and his boys did was to ensure that that area which concerns us remains in our hands, and that is exactly what has happened. Why are we rushing into it? This is the month of June. They began in May. The patrolling season carries on till October, November. Why are we rushing so fast? Why would they rush back so fast? This is something we have to be prepared for. If you remember in the beginning, the army said we're preparing for a hot summer. And if he rushes back so fast, then what was his point of coming in so early? So I don't expect him to rush back so fast. At the same time, one would expect that both sides will dig in, both sides will stay. The discussion will not be at the diplomatic or the military level. This discussion will only be a means of conveying decisions which will go through on the political level. If you would realize that the external affairs ministers have already spoken, they may possibly again speak during the RIC, the Russia, India, China conclave, which is going to be a virtual summit, whether they would further discuss it. So since you have the time all the way out in another 3-4 months, so that is how it's going to play out. No country wants to come in and pull out so fast. Neither country wants to escalate because both have got economies which are contracting. So no country is looking at taking it to that level. So let us wait. Why do we need to consider or rush into it? Escalation will actually depend on how the standoffs carry on. You cannot risk another Galwan. If that happens and the violence is bad, one doesn't know how it may play out. Escalation, if it goes, it can go to any level. There is no idea where it would stop. Neither side desires it. Neither side wishes for it to happen because Galwan was not a planned incident. It happened. And the fact that it happened has shaken the leadership on both sides. So hopefully now if sense prevails, they will ensure that there is no contact while discussions carry on over a period of time. But you cannot rule out escalation. Nobody can give it to you on a written piece of paper that there will be no escalation. Nobody can give it to you on a written piece of paper that there will be escalation. So it depends on how the scenario goes on playing. So you cannot be certain either way. Pakistan will always take advantage of an Indo-China tension issue. It is understood. They are already losing control in the valley. The recent number of the militants being eliminated has made it very clear that Pakistan is losing support. Almost all militant groups are leaderless. The local population is sick and tired of militancy or terrorism, and it wants peace in the region. The Indian Army is pounding Pak's posts very heavily. Casualties are mounting on their side almost daily. In this scenario, definitely they would look to regain some control in the valley by increased infiltration. So they will try and activate the region. China has been hinting towards India in articles in the Global Times that in case things escalate, do not be surprised if Pakistan joins us and starts activating, so it may be a two-front war. So how much it will join in, whether it will come in, it will definitely exploit, which it's trying to do now. And it will continue attempting to exploit an Indo-China state. You've got different formations for different regions as far as the army is concerned. The formations for the Pakistan border are separate. The formations for the Chinese border are separate. Capability is not just the formations. Capability is as to what level does the war go. Is it going to be an all-out war? Is it going to be a limited operation? What exactly is it going to be? So depending on the nature and depending on the level of escalation is when we look at what do we need. So force level, army-wise, yes. Air power, how much is the Navy going to be involved? Where is going to be the collusion between Pak and China Navy? What about air power of Pak and China? How much is going to be their involvement? So there are too many questions or too many issues which remain in the air for us to determine whether, how high is your level of preparedness. Force level wise, you're ready. Stocking wise, you may be a bit short, but that is made up in no time. So that way, it's not a botheration. The question is the level of collusion between
them.
Nepal is not actually exploiting the situation. The Nepalese government is fighting for its own survival. They are under pressure on account of poor performance, corruption, failure in containing COVID. Now, the only way you can try and offset internal pressure is by throwing the blame or responsibility somewhere. By making 3, 4, 5 posts or by visiting here and there, you are in no way going to, in any form, try and challenge or threaten or apply pressure. This is basically a means of trying to tell you, let's get down to talks. And India will not talk under pressure. The weather is conducive till October, November. It now depends as to how the political level dialogue goes. After all, the 2 external affairs ministers have spoken once, they'll speak possibly twice, someone else will get involved. The diplomats on both sides will start creating the environment. The Army Lieutenant General talks and the others will try creating an environment. So possibly when all this goes through, since there is no rush of time till October, November, it's by then is a different part, because once the weather sets in and the weather undergoes a change, for the Chinese forces that are now residing this side, in extreme winters, their stay, their administration, all that is difficult. We have shorter lines, so it's still feasible. But for them, because the lines are longer, it is more difficult. So up till about October, November, you have the time. So depending on the resolution, possibly around close to that time is when they will pull back. If they pull back within a week or 10 days, then why the hell have they come all the way forward? Why have they wasted so much money, energy, manpower by pulling everything forward? After all, whenever you move your troops, it costs money. If you've just come in for a month to say hello and go back, it seems illogical. So possibly will take time. Doklam took 73 days. This may take long. Please do not get carried away. Trust what the army tells you. Trust what the government tells you, because that is based on reality. Have faith in those who are responsible for securing the nation. They have never let the nation down. They will never let the nation down. The Galwan incident has shown that the Indian soldier does not back down. He is there. Trust what flows from there. Do not get carried away by the propaganda being projected by the Chinese media. Please remember, this propaganda that they're projecting is only for the external audience. Within China, the standoff, the Galwan incident, even their intrusion into Ladakh is not even covered in the local newspapers. And China does not want to tell its public that anything is happening, because the Prime Minister's speech after the all-party meeting, the external affairs statement post his discussion with the Chinese foreign minister have all been removed from the Beijing Indian Embassy Weibo chat site. So China does not want its people to know anything. So if they don't, then let's not get into speculation. Let things be run by the professionals who are responsible. Let us not question it. You will only realize as long as once you start playing games that India will not back down. You've come to realize it now. You've seen the Indian soldier, you've seen his ferocity. You've seen the determination of the Indian government. You've seen the strength and the nationalism present in the Indian population. Do not ever think India is like Pakistan or one of your other lackey states. Indians will stand together. Indians will stand as one. And at the end of the day, you would realize that you would lose, whether it be economically, whether it be diplomatically, or even militarily. Please don't continue on the step or on the belief that you all are superior.
So thanks a lot for joining. Hope to see you again.
Thank you. My pleasure. Take care.
Thank you.
It's caught in the crossfire.